thank you very much for that introduction. And thank you, Elets, for organizing this session today, which I think is of great importance. We are very lucky to have with us Dr. Nalnaksh Vyas, who has been a friend, I would say, of Indian Railways and technology implementation in Indian Railways through the years, because he has been associated with railways for the past 25 to 30 years at least. And Mr. Loknath Behra, it is really a privilege to have him. He is a senior IPS officer. He was Director General of Police in Kerala. And then from there, he became the CEO of the Kochi Metro Rail Corporation. And under him, Kochi Metro has achieved many milestones. You would have heard of the water metro in Kochi, and that Kochi water metro is basically his brainchild. So we are very lucky to have him. He has come from Kochi so far. It is, of course, a privilege to be addressing you. Very knowledgeable, I'd say, and distinguished audience. And what I would like to tell you is why we are having this event at all, and why I felt that this is an important event to have. The reason is that cyber physical systems or IoT systems are becoming prevalent and are becoming increasingly prevalent across the technology sphere in the country. The applicability to railways and the transport sector in general of cyber physical systems and IoT systems is very great. So today's conclave is focused on the applicability and implementation in the various functional areas of Indian Railways, and these areas are quite diverse. We already see the utilization of cyber physical systems or IoT devices in different areas. For example, SCADA systems, in motion way bridges already in use, track recording cars have been in use for so many years, data loggers, OMRS, RTIS, they are all examples of cyber physical systems, or what we commonly know as IoT systems, Internet of Things. But what we see is that there is no synergy amongst the implementations in the railways in general and even in the transportation sector. So the need is to have a synergy amongst the implementations. What is different in these? I mean, why are we looking at cyber physical systems differently from our normal IT system? The reason is that there is a component of real-time operation in cyber physical systems. So you have to have an understanding of real-time operating systems. You have to have an understanding of data flows which move in near real time. And the second characteristic is that these systems are normally placed in remote locations. So they are in remote locations. They are normally unmanned, and that is the beauty of having cyber physical systems in any case, because there is a certain degree of autonomy in these systems. They are autonomous systems. They are meant to be unmanned. They may very often be in harsh platforms, in harsh environments. They may not have access to power in many cases, so they were dependent on batteries. They may not have access to reliable networks in some cases, so you have these low power, wide area networks. So these characteristics of cyber physical systems make them specially complex. Now, what is happening today that we see is that we are taking up individual solutions. For example, SCADA systems in one division, independent of SCADA systems somewhere in another division. For security reasons, we may be air gapping. SCADA systems are all air gaps. SCADA systems are used for managing the TRD, the power that goes from traction power, the power that drives trains. So there is a security element there, and therefore we keep them separate. But for how long can we keep these systems independent of each other, isolated from each other? In today's age of information flowing across the internet, information flowing across networks, and we needing to take decisions based on the data that is captured by such systems. So we want to capture information at source, and we want to analyze that information, so it has to necessarily move through a network. If we implement these systems independently, then it is a mammoth task. Each system, imagine you want to run a Rajdhani service from Delhi to Mumbai, you lay a separate track, have a separate signaling system. You want to run another service from Delhi to Calcutta, you lay a separate track, have a separate signaling system. It is not a viable approach at all. Similarly, if I want to have a set of devices on the rail side which are tracking the condition of my rolling stock, if I build a separate system, have a separate network, have a separate computing ecosystem for it, and then I want to measure the condition of my track, and there I put a separate set of servers, a separate set of sensors, I pick up that information, have a separate network. It will be very difficult to manage. Very soon you will be swamped, and you will have individual network devices, you will have individual network segments. Last mile will be a problem. Where you will do your computing will be an issue. So this is not viable in the long term. So in the long run, you need to have synergy amongst all these systems, and that is the reason why we have today's session. It is supposed to be a small beginning to try to see where commonalities can emerge, where standards can be set, where synergies can be brought in the railways, IoT systems, cyber physical systems in the railways, and even across the transportation sector. So again, today we have a mix of academia, we have industry, we have end users of different types. We have railways, we have NCRTC, we have Railtel, we have rights, and we have, of course, industry. You must have seen, we have IBM, we have got Fortinet, and so many other people are there, Intel. These are all organizations that are operating in this ecosystem, in the ecosystem of IoT and cyber physical systems. And therefore, bringing them together is the first step in seeing how we can bring synergy into this whole set of technologies that are required to build viable IT systems based on cyber physical systems and IoT quickly, effectively, cost effectively, build the skills that we need. That is the need of the day. Expertise exists in IITs. There's a lot of expertise in IIT Kanpur. We have people from IIT Madras, experts from IIT Madras. So expertise exists, we have to tap that expertise. Expertise exists in the industry, we have to tap that expertise. We have to build up our capabilities, and then we have an India stack for financial systems. Similarly, we need to build a stack for IoT systems on which we can latch on quickly whenever we need a new system entry. So that was the purpose of this whole exercise, and we have a distinguished set of speakers in this session and in further sessions also. So I hope that today, with your help, active, please ask questions, please get your doubts clarified, please visit the industry booths and see how the technology is evolving. And I hope that this will be the first step in moving towards IoT and cyber physical systems ecosystem within railways and the transportation sector. Thank you.
Smart railway. I think this word smart has always baffled me. In fact, more than being an expert, I have come here today to listen to Professor Vyas because I think I've been seeing him in railway forums for the past 2 decades. and he has been a passionate. I can say he's more than a railwayman, and his concern for railways transforming themselves through the sensor-based devices, IoT systems is something which is unparalleled. So more than anything else, I have actually come here to listen to Professor Vyas. But let me also tell you that this word smart uh, is something which probably has been there right through humanity. Maybe 3 or 4 decades back, you must have heard about a smart railway. It all depends upon the technology of the day and with respect to that technology, how smart you are. I'm sure 2 decades later and 3 decades later too, there will be a conference on smart railway. And there can't be, if you're talking about smart and based on sensor-based devices, acquiring the data, then processing the data and coming with some thresholds and again feeding back into the physical systems in terms of interaction and taking corrective action. Um, these sensors have been abound in nature itself. Your eye itself is one of the greatest sensors. I mean, it is nothing but a photoelectric device with a band gap of zero point 0.5 electron volts, and it fires your neurons and you react. Railways too has been smart, as has been told by Mr. Mathur. I mean, depending upon the technologies of the day, whether it is track circuits where you detect the availability or non-availability of a vehicle on the track and then relay it and act accordingly, or whether it is the SCADA system, they've always been there. But I think the question that we need to ask is, are we smart to the extent of the evolution of the technology of the day? I think that is a more relevant question that we need to ask in terms of the scale and the speed at which railway has responded to the technologies that developed around. If you ask me, my exposure to the smart world has been in the last 2 to 3 decades. I have graduated from IIT Madras in 1990 when even sending a communication from one computer to the other computer was considered as some sort of a great achievement. So here, 33 years later, we are here where it's almost like commonplace technologies of AI, ML, and IoT. These have become almost like your something similar to your calculator. I had an interaction with around 170 of my new software engineers who joined Chris around last week. And let me tell you, all these people have been recruited through the gate and they have in their BTechs or even MTechs have actually done courses in AI, ML, cyber security and done enough amount of projects that we have. This is now commonplace technology. So the question that we need to ask is, has railway evolved itself to the extent that is required? I mean, if you look at the world around you, we should be clear as to what technologies are matured across the world in terms of these sensor-based technologies, in terms of helping you to improve your operational efficiency, in terms of improving your reliability of your assets, whether it is fixed infrastructure or rolling infrastructure, and even in terms of whether they are going towards enhancing your business development goal as a whole. As of now in the railway, I think these systems of sensor-based technologies have evolved in a very scattered manner, as has been pointed out. And let me tell you that there is a very sincere effort which is now being undertaken across the various departments to identify as to what these technologies are and the workload that would be generated on the various applications in terms of both the network capacity requirement, the compute and the storage requirements, and also on a common IoT platform in terms of the protocols, where we are in contact with CDOT to adopt their common platform CSSP for this IoT framework. And I'm sure that in the coming days, maximum of maybe around 60 days, we should be able to come to a common framework. And we are looking forward to this exercise. And already a number of projects are going on in an isolated manner. Let me tell you, RFID project for tagging to the wagons has almost been 30% complete. Within the next 1 year, I think 90% of the wagons would be RFID tagged with stationary readers. Already we have locomotives with RTIS where we are able to trace and track the locos online, wherein continuous information is getting into the databases, and so on and so forth. But the greatest problem what we face is in areas where established research has not been commercialized. So, for example, on the track side, on the fixed infrastructure side, still most of the solutions are at the R&D stage or even at the development stage. And here, while we continue to run on both the legs in terms of adopting the mature technologies, we also are giving adequate emphasis on the R&D part to ensure that we continue to evolve as an organization. And I'm sure next time when we hear Mr. Vyas, maybe 5 years down the line, he would be a much more happier person. So thank you, and I wish the conference all the very best.
Respected dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be present here and speaking in this smart railway conclave on the topic of e-mobility and energy efficiency. The honor gets doubled for me because railways have been my alma mater as well as Karam Bhumi for a significant period of my career. In times when sustainability is a top priority, we must always be on the lookout for developing and adopting solutions that enhance just not mobility but also the sustainability quotient. The transportation sector today is responsible for more than 12% of the GHG emissions. And even though railways are very environmentally friendly, they account for almost 4% of the same. The drive towards 100% electrification of railways and an increasing emphasis on solar-based energy infusion over the past couple of decades has been an exemplary one, and which demonstrates the commitment of the railways towards more environment-friendly means of transport. Even with these major successes, the sheer scale of railway operations all over the country poses significant challenges in realizing the dreams towards achieving the net zero goals stipulated by the railways themselves by the year 2030. Energy efficiency is one of the themes important, very important, but often neglected. It is said that energy efficiency will account for almost 45% of the interventions, both in monetary terms and in physical intervention terms, if we have to achieve the INDC goals. Since energy accounts for a significant portion of the operating expenses of Indian Railways, by improving energy efficiency, the railways can reduce their energy consumption and lower their operational costs. But have you ever pondered as to why energy efficiency is not that salient? And it does not deserve that respect or that kind of attention that it deserves. I believe there are two broad-based reasons for the same. Firstly, energy efficiency lies everywhere. It's highly disaggregated. The interventions lie in this room. It lies in this whole hotel. It is lying down on the street, in the street lights. It lies in every single home, every single industry, in every single MSME, every single place requires energy efficiency, and that's one reason it's highly disaggregated. And this disaggregation, and if any kind of energy efficiency intervention is done, it operates only on the cost side, unlike those big solar parks, farms, which you can see out there, which becomes a symbolism of economic growth. Energy efficiency is silent. It lies only on the cost side. It doesn't work like you invest and you reap revenue returns. It is only operating on the cost side. And therefore, the small ticket size projects which are lying all over the place, you find it very difficult to manage them. And the money which is out there, millions of dollars of world money which is out there, the challenge is how do you invest that money into that single house or those billions of houses and industries out there. It's a no-brainer that marketplace development is essential for any work to happen at scale. And non-development of the marketplace because of all these challenges and
Therefore, an absence of a large scale big entity to manage all this is therefore one of the major reasons why we do not see scale develop in energy efficiency. Even on railways, for that matter, even though the organization is one huge organization, the entity level operations become a risk for the market as railways, even though as one single client is lying disaggregated, there are several officers in various divisions and zones who are dealing with work. So there's not one single client. On paper, it's a single client, but there are various spread out clients all over. Railways have one of, despite that, railways have been one of those sectors which have always been on the forefront of energy efficiency intervention. We see the presence of railways as one of the most salient, important institution in all the national energy conservation awards, which are distributed by Honorable President every year. We see the presence. Um, in fact, recently I think as institutionally, railways is one of the only big organizations which has come out with a dedicated energy efficiency policy. However, policy making is one part, implementation is at scale is another. The challenges that I've already mentioned would stand here as well. Barring the availability of capex, railways has the money, it has the fund availability, it has the monetary commitments available, but this does not complete the story of the challenges. What bears out from the general challenges I mentioned is that there needs to be a binding and aggregating mechanism of delivery of these projects. Aggregation of these projects as much as possible would help derive monetary value and increase the overall size of the projects uh, and allow a demand visibility to the marketplace. This would generate interest, and that is why when the market is going to develop. While I'm not selling ESL, my company as a potential partner in this endeavor, the fact remains that as an aggregator of energy efficiency projects all across the country and as the largest ESCO in the world, uh, ESL would be a natural ally to the railways. We have already partnered in the past, and a lot of work has already been done. But the fact remains that even in the IoT space, we are one company. IoT space, especially in energy efficiency domain, we hold one of the largest portfolios in the country. We have almost 65% of Indian roads are enabled through ESL IoT enabled streetlights, and almost we have a portfolio, largest portfolio of smart meters across the country as on date. We have been able to make considerable improvements in the GHG emissions. We have worked and whatever works ESL has done in the past has led to monetary savings of 96,000 crore rupees only in terms of the avoided capacity generation and 20-30,000 crores of energy savings every year. On the e-mobility space, again, we have been the pioneers, and we hold the largest portfolio of electric cars that are being deployed in the government departments. We have now completely revamped our offerings, and we will be operating this the EV fleets through a digital IoT-based platform for ensuring that officers they don't have to take time off to sign logbooks, whatever overtimes are there, which actually happen to be one of the most highest costs in cars, and also the consumption of fuel, specific energy consumption is logged in time. Coming back to the energy efficiency policy of the railways, one very important measure that has come in the policy is the role of CRIS in the endeavor. CRIS is basically being seen, again, as I said earlier, it's all about aggregation, and one single source of truth is required. And that is where the CRIS as an institution, as mentioned in the policy, will play an important role. Uh, Two major things are important, as I said. Number one is the kind of aggregation of projects. The other way is aggregation of the data.
at one single place, because so many interventions happening at all over the places, all across the country, they have to be aggregated at one place so that a proper measurement and evaluation can take place as to how much railways have actually contributed to the GHG commissions. That said, challenges will not get over by overcoming only these two hurdles. The energy efficiency interventions and IoT interventions on a long-term contract through ESCO models look good on paper, but the real issue lies in implementation, much the likes of all the PPP projects. The challenges become even higher because of the disaggregated nature of the projects. We all know people, processes, technology. These are the three pillars on which any success or failure depends in any endeavor. The technology and the processes part are the most talked about generally, again, because they involve a lot of money. It involves, they're, I think, overrated. We are an aspirational country. We are a country of ideas. We have brilliant people all around. So ideas, processes, technology is never a problem. The problem always comes on the people's part. And I bring this just because I talked about the PPP and large scale, long period contracts. Uh, PPPs require, or long term contracts require, a steady stream of revenue. Unlike the traditional EPC contracts, if the revenues are not going to the contractor, the project just stops. There's no monetary loss either side. When the money comes, the project starts again. But in this case, it's a long-term wedlock, and you cannot have a situation that in a wedlock of 7, 8, 10 years, if the revenues stop for any reason, we have seen several PPP projects fail on this very simple reason. The point of the matter that I'm trying to emphasize here is that there is a high premium on the contractual leadership by the officers. If that contractual leadership, even in a high specialized, complex IT-based, IoT-based project, is not there, whatever best technology, whatever best system, or whatever best process we put in place, it will be a sure shot recipe for disaster. I would be failing if I do not touch upon one more point that is extremely important in administration of IoT-based projects, and that is the capacity building. The capacity building not of the people who are implementing. If let's say Chris or any other technology-based organization is implementing, they definitely will have the capacity. The capacity has to come from the other side as well, and not only from the technical side, but probably also from the contractual as well as the finance side. And we see this happen every single day. In my company myself, I would admit that we see a lot of challenges coming from the finance and the contractual side as well. So in a complex environment where most of the things are black boxes, where measurement and evaluations are complex, I think uh, this element of capacity building has to pervade all across the organization rather than getting limited to the technical side as well. I've already taken a lot of time, and therefore I would like to just end by wishing the energy efficiency journey and the IoT journey of Indian Railways all the very best. From my side, my company ESL would remain committed to any kind of partnership with Indian Railways. Thank you.
Very distinguished persons on the dais, of the dais and friends. My first apology to Mr. Mathur that I could not take him in the water metro. I actually gave a metro trip to some other people, and that time he had to catch a flight, so he could not do this. And I extend on the outset all of you, whenever you are in Cochin, please do visit and travel in water metro. It is a lifetime experience, I can always assure you. Well, in this particular conference, I'm not going to talk technology. Little bit of things technology I'll speak. If I ask a question, which is normally asked in many fora, which is the best film scene ever shot in India? In Indian films, which is the best scene ever shot? you will be very surprised that till date, the best scene has been regarded is a movie directed by Satyajit Ray way back in the 50s, a film called Pathar Panchali. There is a scene there where a small boy named Apu, along with a small girl, Durga, coming from one side of the actually screen and seeing a train just crossing that. Most of the people, international directors and everybody, they say this scene is the best ever shot scene. You know why? It's not the optics. It is the question of the curiosity and the innocence actually read on the two children seeing a train. All of us will not actually cheat ourselves. All of us will agree to one thing. Trains evoke a kind of feeling which no other thing creates. When I was a small child in my hometown, Puri, I used to go to the station to see a train. When the steam engine, the Koilawala train with lot of actually black fumes coming out were replaced by the diesel locomotives, I was not very happy. I think it was looking very good. Now sustainability and energy efficiency, people will actually disagree. Well, that was that time, it was the issue. Now coming to the Indian Railways, as most of you know, but most of you are techies, I'll tell you one thing. 1843, Lord Dalhousie thought of Indian Railways. 1853, we had the first train. And the first train, 34 kilometers, was dragged by 3 locomotives, not one. And 1856, actually, we had the first station, Raipuram in Chennai. From that day to 2023, I am wondering how we are only talking about railway 2.0. By this time, it should be 8.0 or 9.0. Probably, we missed the bus somewhere. Well, in 1999, when I went to Paris, I traveled in a TGV to Lyons. I was amazed that a train can be like this. And it is actually saving so much of time that it would have taken more time had I taken a flight from Paris to Lyon. Then I went to Japan, traveled in the bullet train. I was wondering when we will get it in our country. Now we have reached up to Vande Bharat. So we should not be very complacent that we have now reached Vande Bharat, so that we'll go slow. Probably it's not. We have definitely missed the bus sometime. And the kind of trains, when you go abroad, you travel double deckers, this kind of that thing. That has to come. It has to come by technology, whether it is grease or the energy efficiency or whatever. I was telling the other day, I was in a particular seminar, I was telling that, look, if an airport can run in Cochin entirely on solar power, why not in the whole railways, which has got more land, other things in the non-conventional energy only? 52% of my energy requirement in metro is made from the solar. And we are trying to reach 100% by next year. So, it is possible. Now the question is that the best thing is that late starters are always having the advantage because they can use the best of the technology. So we take it this way, whether it's Greece, whether it is Indian Railways or any other organization or IBM, the things we have started late, therefore we use the best. So whether it is in signaling system or anything, we have to necessarily induct the best of the technology, whether it is AI, or whether it is CPS, whether it is IoT, whatever being actually done. But I'll give a small caution, being a cop all throughout my life, and say that look, when you generate too much of data from the IoT devices as well as from the CPS, please be very careful, because the data, unless it has been protected properly, then it will be a disastrous thing. Because all the railway infrastructure and the railways have been treated as an actually critical infrastructure. So critical infrastructure have to be protected. So once you go more digital, then these particular things have to be taken care of. And Mr. Mathur is an expert on that. I know him. I have worked with him for some time during some projects here in Delhi. What I wanted to say today is that Elets actually brings a lot of diverse people together who have dissenting views. I like that. If there is a dissent, then only we can evolve. So, what in this particular hall, there will be people who will be dissenting with the IBM, or maybe with somebody, with Dr. Bass. That will give actually some kind of food for thought to take us further and forward. And I was wondering one other thing. When I went and joined the metro is very, very, very actually advanced in all kind of things. It has the engine room looks like a cockpit, and you don't have to do much. Everything is automated. And it has AFC gates, etc. Why not we actually take some of them and induct into the actually railway system? Obviously, most important thing what everybody at the policy level have to think about, railway is for whom? For the people. So, what they will get if we are doing something? If we are getting actually the solar energy to run the trains, what the people get? Whether it runs by electricity or whether it runs by diesel, it doesn't mean anything to a common man. It may be having indirect effect, that carbon emission is less, this, that. But first of all, a particular person who wants to travel in the train wants to get the ticket quickly. When he goes to the train, the TT should not say, "Tumhara seat koi dusra le gaya," that kind of thing. And the third thing is that when he sits there, he can charge his telephone, or he can get some internet, and he can actually get some food, and he should actually reach the destination safely without an hassle. All these things have to be taken care of whenever we talk about technology. Other than technology, nobody will be used. This is how we have to necessarily at the policy level to think, and step by step we have to do this particular thing. It cannot be done in one go. Now, just think of a situation. MD Saab was telling me he was actually posted in Palghat. In Palghat division, every now and then, even now, sir, the elephants die. When elephants crossing the line, they will die. Can we not use some technology to see that the elephants do not die? It is possible. I saw some papers by railway engineers on this, and they will put sensors and kind of things. So these kind of things also can be always done. It is not the question of only saying that, and we will actually attain a particular speed. After the unfortunate Baleswar incident, somebody was actually I saw some write-ups in some of the leading newspapers saying that abhi itna speed ki kya zarurat hai? Why should we have so much of speed? This is a very retrograde actually thinking. People want the speed to reach the destination quickly. So you modify whatever you want to do. You want to do the track work, or you do the magnetic tracks, or whatever you want to do it. Now, these particular things, all these things can be done by all of you. And you are extremely competent bunch of people here. Dr. Bass, he is actually leading the mission from the Ministry of Home Affairs, because I was attached with that for some time. For a lot of good things have come, but how it is to be used and what results it will give, especially to the common people, unless until we think that our all endeavors will be actually there. You take the big, actually example of the Facebook. They have actually made a complete interface with the people so much that the fellow who doesn't open the Facebook, he has no digestion in the morning. That kind of situation has happened. So they have actually glued you to that, and they are giving that particular thing to you. So what I wanted to say is that I wanted to, railway is such a subject that we can talk hours. Technology is good, but technology has got also its flip sides. Whenever we actually do some research, that part also has to be taken care of, must be kept in mind. Take the example of the water metro. Well, it has got rave reviews all over the world. You know, but the simple thing is that the technology that actually changed everything. There are a lot of boats in the Cochin backwater. Why people are talking about this particular thing? Because this boat actually doesn't produce any sound. You just feel there is no splash. You feel that you are sitting on a very beautiful Mercedes car. You can work very comfortably in your desk. Sitting there. There is no tilting, nothing. And the boat gets charged, and it takes 100 passengers. And the boat it charges in only 15 minutes. Total 100%. We charge it. Actually 60% charge is enough for taking that. So we do it in 7 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes. How do we do it? That was the actually research these people did. They thought they actually experimented a lot of batteries, this, that. Then they thought the LTO is the best one. Of course, it's very expensive, but it served the purpose. So by the time the boat is full, the boat is charged. The passengers enter, by that time it is charged. So similarly, these particular things, if it is thought of during the research, you can do wonders. Last thing I wanted to say is that CRIS is a very, very dear organization to me, because I have been exposed to CRIS in one form or other. I only request, because the MD Saab is here, that let a CRIS consultancy services start. Day before yesterday, when I was actually clearing a file relating to the phase 2 of Cochin Metro, which we are building now, about the IT integration relating to signaling and beyond signaling and the cyber security, which is now compulsory for all the metros, I said that let the consultancy be done by CRIS. But if I write, MD Saab has to agree or not, that is the question. I am actually saying that let it be at the board level or something we put up, so that they are the best people for this particular kind of work. So let them actually have that services to guide us how to go about it. Thank you, Elets. Thank you, Gupta Sahab. Thank you, everybody, and just bearing with me to talk something which may be actually not of any use to you. Anyway, that is what I thought is proper, that to say that we can do good. See, in 2015, and I remember the Honorable Prime Minister sent a tweet saying that after so many years, at least, railway is not thinking in terms of passengers and coaches. It also thinks about the overall improvement through use of technology. So that be the case, and let the railway prosper, and let the railway be our railway now, which is the 4th largest railway in the whole world. Let them be the best in the world in very quickly, and let the 2.0 be 3.0 very quickly. Thank you.
Good morning, esteemed panelists, delegates. The topic of this conference is related with the smart railways And with respect to ministry, I want to convey that ministry is well aware of the importance of predictive as well as preventive maintenance, and a lot of things are happening at ministry level. Uh, I should say that we are well aware of condition monitoring system, and we are moving in that direction. A high level committee has been formulated at the board level to go into or to introspect the various aspects related with this IoT based monitoring system. As you are well aware that for any particular IoT system, we have to see about the standard data transfer protocol, as well as cyber security issues, as well as the integration of edge devices with cloud, or it may be with the server. And there is a need of protocols as well as standards to tackle with these issues. And such conference can be a very good platform to discuss these issues, where the vendors as well as the policy planners as well as the customers as well as various stakeholders can converge and then discuss the various aspects. I want to highlight that in this IoT-based monitoring system, or predictive or preventive or condition monitoring systems, we have to be very careful about the cyber security issues also. And the other important issue is that how we can have a platform which is not confined to a one vendor or one particular standard, or with respect to one particular technology. This aspect is also to be seen. With respect to the current status of IoT systems in railways, I would like to tell you that there is a WILD, which we call as wheel impact load detectors, and HAHW, which we call hot axle hot wheel detector, or OMRS, online monitoring of rolling stocks, then TMS as well as bridge management system. Means a lot of activities are taking place in with respect to locos as well as tracks as well as coaches, and so important points with respect to IoT is that what can be the functional requirement specifications. In this aspect, again, there is a need of interaction between the government as well as the user and the vendor. Then, with respect to this IoT platform itself, we have to see that how we can use the machine learning or artificial intelligence to get the proper analysis from the data which we are obtaining from the different sensors in the field. Then naturally, if we are talking about IoT, how the emerging technologies can be used in this, like blockchain technology, or one has to be very sure that yes, the data is properly stamped, and we are aware that what is the source of data. So all these aspects are very important for this, and there is no doubt that these technological interventions can help any railways to be smart and to serve their customers better. And naturally, the new versions will come if we are going to use new technologies. There will be railways 3, railways 4, railways 5. So I thank Elets to give me opportunity to be a part of this conference, and I have heard panelists, and it was quite enriching for me. And thank you very much.
Very good morning to all of you. And first of all, let me thank Chris and Mathur Sahab and Satyakumar Sahab for inviting me here, and Elets as well for making all the arrangements. I really did not know that I am the chief guest of this function. I am not here really as the chairman of the technology mission for Indian Railways, which expired in 2022. I am here as a normal professor of engineering at IIT Kanpur, who is about to retire, so I need not be taken very seriously also. Uh, uh, First of all, I'm really happy that Chris has been able to put up a program which is so really well packed with technology. It is. I participate in various conferences and workshops in Europe and USA and Australia and China, and the lineup here is really very impressive. It is on par and probably even better than many of the conferences, railway conferences that are held elsewhere in the globe. Uh, so they need to be congratulated on putting up on such a serious show on a topic which is really very important, IoT and cyber physical systems in railways and transportation sector. Uh, IoT and cyber physical systems can really take off in our country, and India can take the lead in the world if railways takes it up in the real earnest. Uh, when I started looking at this uh, eGov magazine that has been launched, uh, very first page, very first article of page 10, and brings out a point which was very succinctly hammered in by Mr. Mathur, and also in his first statement, and that is currently numerous CPS applications are running in the Indian Railways, but there is no common thread binding them together. There is no common thread binding them together. All the efforts are driven by individual efforts. The captured data is stored in different databases, hosted in various facilities and locations. And this is the crux of the problem. This is one of the major issues that is facing IoT systems uh, and cyber physical systems, not just in railways, but I have also been associated with the integrated vehicle health management program for our light combat aircraft, Mark II, and the advanced medium combat aircraft. There again, you have it's like a system of systems, like the railway is a system of systems. I'll come back to this later. When we started our first project in the technology mission for Indian Railways, TMIR, in 2018, the program on cyber physical systems was launched by the Department of Science and Technology by the then Secretary, Professor Ashutosh Sharma. And the first project that was taken up was the one for railways, uh, with the initiative taken by Mr. Rajesh Agarwal, who happened to be the uh, member mechanical at that time, and prior to that, he was the general manager of MCF Raebareli. That was Industry 4.0 application implementation in manufacturing, rail coach manufacturing in Indian Railways. That was the title of the project. The problem, nobody knew what Industry 4.0 really was, even in 2018. The problem that was identified was that we need to do monitoring of the machines in real time. We need to track the material in real time, and we need to track the human beings through human machine interfaces, HMIs, in real time, bring them onto the same platform, software and hardware platform, integrate it with existing ERP solutions, do necessary optimization for process planning, scheduling, and also monitor the health of the machinery and do quality control. This, in a nutshell, defined the entire project. We need to monitor the machines, we need to monitor, uh, we need to track materials, we need to monitor human beings in real time, and the data to be transferred, not stored like as it is currently stored in various places in the railway organizations, including CRIS. Not stored, but to be transmitted in real time in an interactive manner on a unified platform. The problem with these machines is, and that is a universal problem, whether you talk of the smart coach or the shell shop in MCF Raebareli. You have a shop floor which has, say, 60 different machines. 40 of them are from Siemens. Then there would be about 20 Fanuc robots. There are machines from Heidenheim. There is instrumentation from Honeywell. Now, you have Siemens control systems which will not talk to Fanuc robots. Fanuc will not talk to Siemens. Siemens will not talk to Heidenheim. Heidenheim will not talk to Honeywell. Sometimes Siemens will not talk to Siemens itself. Similar is the problem in the smart coach project. You have 10 different dibbas with 10 different sensors from 10 different vendors, none of them talking to each other, each of them sending data to UK, another one sending data to Malaysia, and the third one sending data to somewhere in Allahabad. Nobody knows where the real-time raw data is going. The raw data is not accessible to Indian Railways. The data belongs to Indian Railways. The vendors are not willing to give it to railways. They want to give only processed information in the form of red, green, and yellow buttons. If the raw data is made available, then the systems can be scaled up, then the systems can be integrated. And the kind of integration that I am aiming at is, that would be real integration, is that the data from Kavach is transmitted in real time to CRIS on a platform that is owned entirely by Indian Railways, where that data can also be integrated from the data that is coming from the track management system. The data from the track management system, whether it is from the interlocking of points, from the signals, from the platform, should be interacting with the Kavach system. That is the kind of integration which is required. Even in the light combat aircraft a few years ago, in Mark 1 of light combat aircraft, we had this problem that it again is a system of systems like the railways. You have the propulsion system, you have the landing gear, you have the hydraulic system, you have avionics, you have the electrical system, hydraulics, each with a large number of components, hundreds of components, and all of them sensorized. So it's a system of systems and large number of sensors, each coming from a different vendor. And these monitoring systems used to talk only to themselves. They used to process information and give information to the pilot in the form of a user interface where he just comes to know whether it is green, yellow, or red. That is all that he gets. It is not possible for me to transfer and see how the propulsion system is influencing the hydraulic system and the hydraulic system is influencing the landing gear. Unless I have that, I will not be able to build any kind of analytics. I will not be able to do any kind of safety analysis. I would not be able to do any kind of deep learning for optimization, and I cannot integrate it across the fleets. So as I see, this is one major issue, that we need a platform, a hardware and software protocol which is indigenous and which belongs to Indian Railways, and it can definitely be housed in CRIS. This platform should be independent of the vendors, where the vendors can be allowed to come, plug and play their systems. They should be willing to contribute, they should be allowed to contribute. But the data should be transferred to the Indian Railways in its raw form as it is collected. Whether it is from Kavach, whether it is from machinery from Siemens or from Hygienine or from wherever it is. This platform needs to be standardized. So there is definitely a strong need, and I would advocate that a cyber physical platform should be launched at CRIS. A cyber physical platform for Indian Railways be launched at CRIS, which is ubiquitous, which is universal, where all the data from all the systems that we currently have on the railways is transmitted and processed. You have the capability to process it in real time. That should be possible. The other requirement is that with the data available, there is definitely a need to do and scope to do a lot of analytics. Analytics related to, as Mr. Bhatia said, about optimization of power requirement. There is already a proposal with Mr. Sudhir Kumar on power optimization on the lines of several railway systems in Europe, where the pain points of power consumption have been digitally identified, and power consumption has been brought down up to even 24 to 25%. This has been really done through analytics analytics with the data that is available from the sensors. So analytics can play a very important role. Analytics is required. Analytics will be path breaking, and it is here that many of us can, not from the academy, and not just from the academia, but also from the industry, can play a very important role in providing analytics with the huge amount of data that is available with CRIS. Along with that, there are other projects in the area of IoT, and in fact, we are still not in the domain of IoT in the railways or in many other sectors. IoT would mean Internet of Things. When a thing starts talking to a thing, for example, the glass of wine over there on that table would start noticing that the bottle on the table is not a bottle of wine but a bottle of water, and does not communicate with the bottle of water, but starts communicating with the bottle of wine which is there in the bar. It is Internet of Things. Things start communicating with things. The interlocking or the point machine starts talking to the train which is approaching it in a physical sense, without intervention of a human being. That is Internet Internet of Things. We are still not at that stage. We are at the stage of Internet of Thing and human being, or probably Internet of human beings and human beings, not at the level of Internet of Things. Several projects in this area need to be taken up. For example, Kavach itself needs to be strengthened, to be enhanced with the knowledge base that it currently has. I do not have detailed information about what kind of knowledge base on which it's operating, but there is a lot of real-time information that needs to form the knowledge base for Kavach. It may not be immediately possible because it may be prohibitively expensive with the kind of technology adopted. But very limited and restricted sensorization of tracks is very essential. If not all the 1.25 lakh kilometers of track, but at least 10 to 20,000 of track, which is very crucial, can be sensorized, especially at the points and at the crossings, at not very high cost. That sensorization exercise for track management system, I would like to advocate that this needs to be taken up on a very, very high priority basis. And this data needs to be integrated with the data that is already onboard data that would be there on Kavach. Along with that, certain pilot projects on onboard monitoring of rolling stock need to be taken up for preventive maintenance and condition-based maintenance. This should drastically reduce the maintenance cost that is incurred by the Indian Railways. It has been adopted by several railway systems in Europe and has yielded good results. But the only issue is that the data should be under the control of Indian Railways. Whosoever supplies or provides the technology should provide real and raw data to Indian Railways. Onboard condition monitoring would include monitoring of bearings, monitoring of the condition of wheels, axles, suspension systems, couplers. I in fact started my journey with the railways through this project on Wild, which we developed at the cost of rupees 2.5 lakhs way back in 2003, 2004, and the demonstration was given to Mr. Nitish Kumar, and Atalji was the Prime Minister at that time in the Prime Minister's office. So, in the Prime Minister's office, we had Mr. Sudhindra Kulkarni, who also happened to be an IITian and a very close aide of Atalji. And we gave this demonstration, and then Atalji said that, Nitish Kumar said that let us give this a form of a technology mission where projects are taken from a top-down approach, not that it comes from below. Some projects of national importance are identified from the top, and the national teams are formed. And then with the participation of the user industry, the academic institutions, and industry at the same time, with 20% of contribution coming from the industry, and the industry owns the technology. The technology is not owned by, data is owned by, should be owned by railways, but technology need not necessarily be owned by the railways. So technology is owned by the private industry, and the private industry would make profit out of it. So we did mention it to the Prime Minister that the private industry is participating, and this is the model which is being would be implemented through the Department of Science and Technology for the first time, and industry will make money, मुनाफा कमाएंगे. So Atalji in his typical style said, इस देश में मुनाफा कमाना अपराध नहीं है. So that is the model that needs to be followed, but followed with proper honesty and implemented with full honesty. That we need a consortium, as is there in other countries. We need an honest consortium of the user, the industry for implementation, and for out of box innovation from the academia. Unless all these three arms get together, the innovation in the country is not going to see the light of the day, whether it is the railway sector or whether it is the agro sector. So, with these words, that to summarize, we do need a unified hardware and software protocol and platform for IoT and cyber physical systems in Indian Railways. There is need for analytics, data-based analytics, data-driven systems, digital twins, and deep learning technologies to be implemented with the information that we have in Indian Railways. There are a couple of important projects, crucial projects, which need to be taken up for implementation of IoT for both tracks and rolling stocks in the country. And we need a consortium-based approach for taking this movement forward. So with these words, I thank you very much for the opportunity that you have given to me to express my views. Thank you very much.
And sustainability can lead to profitability. As corporations strive to address today's biggest challenge, we believe it's an opportunity for companies to succeed. How? By making the invisible data visible to reveal key insights, enhancing efficiency, resiliency, and productivity, which in turn can optimize the customer experience, streamline compliance capabilities, and drive stakeholder value. Through our portfolio of sustainability software, consulting services, and ecosystem of partners, we create powerful solutions across key business imperatives. Sustainability is not a risk to be managed, but an opportunity to thrive. It powers insights, drives growth, and gives your business the ability to take on any future challenge. Let's make an impact together.
Good morning. And on behalf of IBM, I'd like to thank for the organizer, esteemed guests, and please to give us this opportunity to part of this great event. And here we just want to share the perspective what the smart railway conclave and how the roadmap of the railway is there and how IBM is aligned to drive that smartness, because the smartness is never ends and it is always young and always progressive, as MD Chris told, Mr. Kapoor told. Yes, that in that perspective we are aligned, and we are happy to be part of this event. And thank you very much for having us here. What is sustainability? Sustainability, what we are talking is earlier it is a completely boardroom. So how we bring that sustainability into railway? How we will bring that into all the industry? So if we talk specific to railway industry, this sustainability is a next stage of transformation. So we have gone through many transformation in the IT, as our esteemed speakers before me told about transformation is happening in the railway. Yes, we are as IBM going to part and align to the transformation by bringing our solution to make more sustainable solutions to the industry, so that will be relevant and serve the people, planet, and process, and ultimately make profitability for the organization. So happy to be part of this railway conclave. And so IBM. So IBM is a company having 112 years of legacy. Started many journey on the technology perspective, but coming back to the railway, we are also leading the technology for all the railway organizations. So we have more than 50 years of experience in worldwide and serving many many organizations, railway industry across the world. Across the world, we are having in India also, specific to India. Yes, we are present for all the metros, Indian railway grids we serve. Our technology is providing some kind of asset management solution to the existing railway thing. But we are closely associated in all the aspect of railway, whether it is asset maintenance or performance improvement or engineering for the locomotives, development of this thing and manufacturing of the locomotives, then uh, solutioning the complex engineering part and how you are going to manage and operate entire journey of the railway through our solution we provide and make the railway smart. That is how we are distinguished engineers, professors, and Nobel laureate for the technology perspective. We use industry expert for their and invest, take their input on the functional things and design our solution. And mostly this research is completely address what the customer wants, how the next level of improvement is there, and how we can improve the ease of doing business on the transport and travel divisions. So we have maintained or developed a lot of complex projects where we are able to address that through our IBM research. And in India, we are also very active in research. We have completed just 25 years in this research, and this is in fact started in IIT Delhi. And the research we is completely focused on one thing, that is how to improve the customer experience for each and every industry. So railway being one of the important industry, we are delivering that since last 50 years. So how we are delivering? So entire life cycle of the railway, when starting from 1 to 5 years, you are doing a build and design. So when the requirement comes from the customers, how you are creating the locomotives, how it should be designed, and how your partners, vendors, ecosystems will be aligned to the requirement. And on basis of the requirement design, you are building a product which will be beneficial for the product. That part we, sorry, that part we create in the first phase of build and design. Then after you are building the manufacturing, then maintenance, operations, part we take care for that. If you are managing that for 20 years, 8 years, 100 years, that part we take care for the solutions. So entire end-to-end asset life cycle we take care as a technology provider for the railway systems. And this we are serving across the globe. Mainly, if you are talking about design, then construction, operation, everything we cover in our entire asset life cycle. Now I come to some kind of example where we have delivered the similar kind of things. So Alstom is one of the examples where they when they design their locos, they take entire requirement from different customers, whatever they are serving. The customer requirement of Asia Pacific is different than Europe, than America, than any localist or goods train, passenger trains, everything will be different. So as per the requirement, they design and develop the solutions, and they go for the manufacture. So there where we have a solutions where we solve the complex engineering things for them. So they are other than railway, we are other than this Alstom, we are having many customers like in railway, like Bombardier or other relevant manufacturer who are using these solutions and embedding this solution for the customers as well. So if you are having a loco, then the design and operant maintenance is part of the locomotive itself. So this is where the design part, and I was talking about operation. So I'll definitely mention SNCF, which is basically the largest European rail network, having huge thing. 11,000 people uses our operation software. The, the the platform what we are giving is completely enabled by three things, which is IoT, advanced AI and analytics, and AI. So these are the three things we are giving embedded in our solutions, where not only about the managing the asset, how you can predict, how you can monitor, how you can basically go ahead and do the digital twin, do the visual inspection, how you will do the civil infrastructure management. In railway, most of the your infrastructure, civil infrastructure, and fixed infrastructure, how you are managing entire life cycle. That is how we are focused in this solution. We are having our technical solution architect and expert in these two fields. They will run through those presentation today in details. So I am just giving you this glimpse how we are giving a complete end-to-end solution for the railway industry. And my technical expert like Pankaj Jain, he will talk about enterprise asset management end-to-end, how we are doing that. And Ashirvad Das will talk about engineering lifecycle management, how we are evolving in the this thing. This is how we have build up entire solution for the railway industry, and looking forward for any kind of engagement, any kind of discussion on this, how to take it forward and how to make this smart railway for India, and happy to be part of this smart railway journey of India. And thank you very much inviting us. And we are really very pleasure to be here to understand the perspective of the audience, the speakers, guests, and panelists. Thank you very much.